you okay? Okay. Okay. All right, get comfortable. Okay, thank you for your patience. It's 6:54, and I'm calling the Monday, February 2nd, the meeting together. So, agenda number 1, call to order. Number 2, roll call, please.
Chairperson Rosinski,
Here.
Ms. Hallett,
Here.
Ms. Kaplan,
Here.
Mr. Cadena is absent.
Okay, thank you. Quasi judicial announcement and swearing in of speakers.
Thank you. Good evening. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the Heritage Preservation Board acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At a quasi-judicial hearing, it is not the board's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the board is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The board may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinance, then the board is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has failed to meet the criteria established in the Code of Ordinance, then the board is required by law to find against the applicant. Will anybody who intends to speak tonight please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in? Thank you all. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony in these proceedings this evening? Thank you all. You may be seated.
Okay, but can you make the statement about?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the last, this would be for the applicants. We don't have a full board tonight. We do have quorum with 3 members. However, you are, as an applicant, entitled to have your case and your application heard before the full board. So it's your option to have your application heard tonight in front of the 3 members that we have. You also have the right to essentially continue your application to the next meeting when 5 members would be here, a full board would be here. Those applicants tonight, is there anybody who wishes to continue their applications to the
But
next?
I think we need to clear it and say that it needs to be unanimous.
Oh, and that would be the last thing, is one, you have the right to defer hearing, and the other thing to be aware of, 3 votes are required for your application to be granted. Considering there's only 3 board members here tonight, you would need a unanimous vote for your application to pass. Thank you, Chairman. That's a very important point. So with that said, do any applicants wish to continue their hearing to next month's meeting? Hearing none, I believe we can proceed, Chair.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, let's start with application 25.102, certificate of appropriateness for signage at 100 North Ring Avenue. Carolyn?
Caroline Lanford, Principal Planner with the Planning and Zoning Department. This slide is showing you the location and context of the subject property. Oh my goodness. This slide is showing you the location of the subject property within the National Register and Local Historic District. They are requesting a certificate of appropriateness to erect new non-illuminated wall signs on the north side of the property and on the western elevation of the property. This is the 1919 Sanborn map showing the property as the Scotia Hotel. This structure received a CA for significant renovations in March of 2023. with the condition to return to the HPB for approval of a detailed sign plan. This slide is showing the picture from the Florida Master Site File. And I'll just run through some pictures of the property today. The site plan for the property, and here are the signs that are being proposed at the property. And a rendering of the sign. And these are just showing some context of the area. This is showing some context of signs in the vicinity. With our standards for review, we have a new construction consistency, the neighborhood and district context, adherence to the Secretary's guidelines, and conformance with other city code requirements. The height and width of the proposed new signs are consistent with signs of similar character in the vicinity with respect to the neighborhood and district context. The addition of the proposed signs would slightly alter the streetscape, and the HPB should satisfy themselves that these impacts are not significantly adverse. With respect to criterion number 9, the project adheres to the Secretary's guidelines and conforms with city code and other code requirements. In keeping with our design review guidelines manual. This slide is just showing you the relevant sections of the code that it's in compliance with. And with that, staff is recommending approval of application 25102 as presented, with the condition that the certificate of appropriateness would expire in 3 years if the building permit has not been issued for the project. And with that, I can take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for Carolyn? So these signs meet size requirements and distance from the street and,
Yes, they meet all of our code requirements.
okay, great. All right, let's hear from the applicant. Hi. Full name and address.
Oh, Bridget Dahl, I'm the hospitality manager for the Creek.
Okay.
Oh. My name's Bridget, I'm the
Well, only if you had anything to say to explain what you're doing, if it was different than what Carolyn.
no, yeah, we're just trying to get approval.
Okay. Okay. Does the board have any questions for her? No? Okay. Any public comments?
I've seen the structure for like 100 years, and looking at the rendering, really impressive. And just a sign. And the real meaning is, what kind of new use do we have? I think this is really exciting. Have someplace, it used to be a flop house, rooms by the day. Really impressive to see someone actually caring for that building and generating it.
Good, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, I'm going to close those comments then. And anything else from you, Carolyn?
No more comments.
Any discussion from the board? Any ideas, or anybody want to make a? It is
move to save the 25102,
Yes.
okay. As read, as presented, I move to accept the as read
So it's for approval,
and for approval.
okay? Want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, all right, we have a motion, a first and a second. Any other discussion?
No thing.
Let's vote.
Yes.
Ms. Hallett,
Yes.
Chairperson Mrazinski.
Yes. All right, thank you for your patience. All right, the second application, 26.03, certificate of approval for window replacement at 400 Grand Boulevard. Carolyn?
Yes, this slide shows the location and land use context of the subject property. This slide is showing the location of the property at the edge of our local historic district. This slide gives some information about the property. It is a Craftsman. It is contributing. This is showing the subject property on the 1919 Sanborn, and the applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to replace original windows with vinyl impact windows. This is the photo from the Florida Master Site File. The facade of the subject property, south elevation, north elevation, the east elevation, context. Survey of the subject property. This is the product sheets for the proposed project. With respect to our standards for review, we have criterion 2, which relates to the width and height of the windows. The proposed replacement windows would retain the historic dimensions consistent with the original architecture, and replacement windows, if approved, should replicate the style of the historic windows. Criterion 3. Go to criterion 7. With respect to distinctive architectural features, the proposed project would replace original wood windows with vinyl windows. The applicant has expressed that continued maintenance of the wood windows is not feasible due to continuing problems with rot and significant costs associated with replacing with new wood windows. And should the HPB approve replacement windows, the replacements should replicate the visual qualities of the original wood windows. With respect to criterion 9, adherence to the Secretary's guidelines, the project does not fully strictly comply with the Secretary's standards. In particular, it would include removal of distinctive materials, which should be preserved, and then historic features that should be repaired rather than replaced. That being said, the proposed project would conform with other requirements of the code, and is generally in compliance with the applicable goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan by furthering the continuing existence of the structure. These are just some relevant guidelines from our design guideline review manual. My recommendation is, if the AHB approves the project, I would recommend the following conditions. One, that tinted glass would not be used, that Mutton and mullion profiles would replicate the existing windows, and that the certificate of appropriateness would expire within 3 years if a building permit has not been issued for the project. And with that, I can take any questions.
Okay. I actually have one. In the packet, it shows the company that they want to purchase their windows from, but it really doesn't, unless I'm missing it, I don't see anything showing what they actually want.
Yes, so this is what was provided by the applicant, which is why I am suggesting that if this project is approved, the HPV would condition that approval with the requirement that they be 1/1. Believe there may be a casement window as well. Just that condition approval, that the style of the window would match the existing style.
Is that what they're now, it's a double hung?
I think I would let the applicant speak on what's there now, but it looks to me that the majority of the windows seem to be single hung 1/1. My concern would be more about the visual qualities of the window, that they look like they look now. I would just suggest that if the board decides to approve this project, just condition it, that they need to replicate the visual qualities of the existing windows. The applicant can get me the specific product sheets, and I can approve it through administrative review.
Okay. Any other questions for Carolyn? Okay, let's have the applicant.
Hi, my name is Renee Torres, and I am a retired historic preservation architect who has restored this house since I bought it in 2010 when it was, well, let's say not what it is. And I have put it back lovingly, but the windows are just beyond. This weekend, I have been freezing in there because everything leaks. The windows are racked because the house is old, settled, and to put new windows of wood nature would be in excess of 100,000. And I did not pay that for the house. I am, as I said, retired, and I have single-handedly removed all the additions that have brought this house back into compliance, have restored that porch single-handedly with timbers from the Unitarian Church down the block when we managed to demolish another piece of altered and added architecture. So this house is put together with love, and I have no intentions of doing anything other than that for it. And although there is a casement aluminum window that was added somewhere along the line, all the other windows are double hung, but they might as well be single hung because some of them are, sealed in time. And I've opened up only the necessary ones just to keep the house more draft-free. So the project sheet that I provided, the Simonton window is really the best window in the market. And it's just being shown as a sheet. They will be one light over one light, as they were originally. And I was even talking to the manufacturer if they could incorporate my original glass, but alas, that's not to be.
Okay. So you would be comfortable with, obviously, replacing as they are right now?
Oh, they're...
Same design, no tinting?
No, of course not.
Of course not. I had to ask. Okay. Any questions for him? Right, but we're not there yet. Okay, any questions
No.
for the applicant? Any public comment?
Produce 901 Bay Shore Drive. That was my godfather's home, and I'm an antique relic community. And I have to congratulate this gentleman. He's done a tremendous job in bringing back the house to its originality best as he can. He's done a beautiful job, and he has really kept the historic preservation home as it used to be, what he's done. And I can understand about these windows, and if the glass is the old bubble, throw it away, you can sell it for a lot of money, because we have lost these windows uptown in the buildings where some of the new businesses have gone in, even though they were told, and they went ahead and changed it without permission. So he has really gone above and beyond doing what he had to do with the historic preservation of that home. I thank you, because it's certainly an asset historic area that is dominated. And I hope that y'all will go ahead and let him do this. We can't get glass anymore. And with weather, that's the best. I'm all for historic preservation.
Thank you. Any other comments?
More emphasis was put on the fact that the windows that this gentleman put in place are required to be impact windows. And that's for weather protection. Hope that's taken into consideration. Or a little bit of leniency, because that's a matter of health and safety.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, Carolyn, anything else?
I have no further comments.
All right, any other questions here from the board? For Carolyn? All right. I agree about these windows. I know it's tough. You always want to, in the historic district, you want to try to replace with what's there. I understand we're in Florida. I understand there's hurricanes. I understand wood rot. As long as things look the same, I personally am comfortable with that. And if that's what you're telling us you're going to be doing, that's good. Okay, any discussion here at board level? No?
Oh, I think he did great. Okay,
Motion?
okay. I move to accept the motion as presented on number 26.03 as presented and recommended by staff, and the recommendations by the staff, they have to adhere to that. And that's it.
Okay, I guess that sounded like a motion. So you're for approval.
For approval, yes.
Okay. Any second? Seconded. All right. We have a motion and a second in. Any more discussion? If not, let's call for a vote.
Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Ms. Hallett?
Yes.
Chairperson Rosinski?
Yes. Again, thank you for your patience. Do a good job. It is a great house.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, number 6, discussion items. 25.96, certificate of approval for demolition, 17 West Orange Street. Now, this is listed as a discussion item, so there will be no action taken on this item tonight. This is discussion only. All right? You want to open it up, Carolyn?
Sure. I just wanted to give some background on the property and Yes, I just wanted to give some background on the discussion item and the subject property. The owner's agent approached us in November of 2025 looking for a potential conditional certificate of appropriateness to demolish the contributing structure at 17 West Orange Street, a circa 1909 residential frame vernacular structure. The Florida Master Site File for this property notes the rectangular plan residence has a full-width, separate hipped roof porch that wraps 3 sides of the structure and features square wood columns with simple capitals. Architectural features of the structure include eave returns, a front gable roof, windows set in pairs and triple sets, corner boards, triangle wood gable loop vents, and wood surrounds. The structure also features 2 brick corbelled chimneys, an off-center French door entry. The contributing structure has undergone some minor alterations over time, but it retains architectural integrity and is contributing as an example of Spanish-American War era residential vernacular architecture and community planning and development in Tarpon Springs. And that's pretty much all I want to say at this time with regard to the structure, kind of the process. So I noted that the owner's agent approached us in November of 2025. At that time, they submitted the materials that are in your agenda packet. I felt that there was enough there to go ahead and advertise for a certificate of appropriateness. Although I advised the applicant that additional materials and some revisions would be required before the case could be heard. There was some back and forth, and in discussion, it was determined that it may be best to just proceed with this as a discussion item at this time, and the owner and his agent can discuss what you discussed, and then potentially come back to us in the future for a full application. And with that, I can answer any questions you might have, and then I would turn it over to the owner and his agent.
Yeah, again, since this is just discussion, unless you guys have any specific questions for Carolyn, I think we should just keep rolling.
Hello. My name is Daniel Edgel, Sandbar Architecture, located at 123 East Tarpon Avenue. Excuse me, I'm the agent for this project here, working with the AHEPA, who is the owner of the property. We did the study that you have in your hands here. This property is unique in that it's contiguous with the AHEPA club that it currently operates on Tarpon Avenue. And it's owned by the National AHEPA, who is interested in this site for both the location and for the cultural significance of Tarpon Springs. In the study of the property, we found that it would be inordinately expensive to rehab the property due to structural damage, insect infestation, outdated utilities, and the list goes on and on. So what we have determined in discussions with the AHEPA is that they would like to remove this structure and to place a museum on site. The museum, of course, would be appropriate for the neighborhood. It would bring the neighborhood closer to the zoning goals which have been set forth. It's as an activity center currently, and it would be more financially viable for them to operate it as a museum than as it currently stands, either as a rental or to fix it up and sell it. So with the information that you have in front of you, we wanted to begin the discussion of this property, what you'd be looking for from us, both in the documentation of the structure that's there and for the design of the new property, so that way we can work hand in hand to make some positive progress. The AHEPA wants to, make sure that the time and the money that they're putting into this project is going to move us forward together. Really don't want to get to the end of a design and then find out that nobody likes it and that we have no chance of it ever being approved. So, with that, I'll let Basil here, the president of the National HEPA, speak if he has anything to say. And then we have John Lelekis as well. He's the most recent local chapter president, past president at this point, but he has a lot of history on this as well.
Thank you, Daniel. Good evening. My name is Basil Mercedes, and I'm the executive director of the National Office in Washington, D.C. The Order of AHEPA is the largest and oldest Greek-American organization founded in 1922 in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was founded to assist the Greek immigrant assimilate into becoming good Americans. Throughout our 104 years of service to the community, we've been able to accomplish many milestones. One of the greatest ones is, of course, the work that we did with the federal government during World War II for our veterans. We raised $500 million by 1945 selling war bonds. The U.S. government designated our organization, the only one in that time period, as an official organ of the United States Treasury because of all the money that was raised for the war effort. Today, the Order of AHEPA has over 400 chapters in the world, of which 350 of them are in the United States. These organizations, these individual chapters, like the one here in Tarpon Springs, chapter number 16, which is the back of 17 West Orange, is 20 West Tarpon, right? And that's where the current chapter owned the home for many, many years. A few years ago, John came to the national office and introduced himself and said, here we are, and we have a problem, and we'd like to talk to you about it. So we purchased that building, the AHEPA home on Tarpon Avenue, from the chapter, and we allow them to use it still because of the service that they perform in the community. I think we charge them $1 a year for that. But the national organization physically owns the property. So it was fitting, we felt, that we would get the property immediately behind it when John brought the owner at the time, I forget the gentleman's name, and he said it would be a natural thing for us to have it. So our board felt that it was appropriate for us to purchase the property. We did our due diligence. We knew going into it of the challenges that we would be faced. But we wanted to work with Tarpon Springs and see how we could develop the property to enhance it, upgrade it, make it a destination for the association because, like I was telling Daniel earlier, per capita, Tarpon Springs is the largest concentration of Greek Americans in the United States. It has the most per capita Greek Americans that live here, and it would be a natural place for us as we come every year for the Epiphany celebrations in the beginning of January to make it a sort of a pilgrimage for our people to come here every year. And we would build a museum to preserve our history in this country. And as a resident of Tarpon Springs now myself, I purchased a home with my wife here 2 years ago. It's something that, I don't want you to feel like, oh, here comes this guy from Washington who's going to, do whatever he's doing. I want to be part of the community. I want this building to be part of the community. And this is why I asked John to come down, because he's part of this. I mean, he grew up here, and he knows the value of what the AHEPA has to offer for the neighborhood and for the community. So if I'm allowed, I'd like to have John come up and introduce himself and tell you why he feels this would also benefit us as an organization and, of course, for the local chapter. Does anybody want to ask me any questions about AHEPA?
Oh, not about HEPA.
No, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One more thing, I don't know if this is recorded or not, but the Order of HEPA itself is the largest single private developer of old age homes in the United States. We manage 96 of them across the United States. I'm telling you this because it's a community service, not because this is what we're going to do down here. I'm telling you that we care about the communities that we invest our effort in. So I just wanted to put that on the record. So thank you very much.
Actually, you know what? I do have a question for you,
Yes.
if you can answer it. Since you were, it seems that you were involved with the purchase of
Yes.
the property.
Hmm?
When you purchased it, did you have it inspected? Did you know what condition it was in? Did you have something in the back of your mind that you wanted to do there? Were you thinking all along of demolition, or were you thinking of rehabbing it, turning it into something else? You must have had some
Right.
idea.
So, yes, we did do our due diligence, like I said. We did look to see if it could be rehabbed, and we got yes and no and yes and no from more than one, more than one or two people. The individual that owned the property sort of rushed us to get it off of his plate. And I'm not saying that we're victims of ignorance or anything like that. Yes, originally I think we wanted to say, oh, we're going to rehab it and we're going to use it for blank, make this Hall of Fame museum, whatever it is that we currently house in the HEPA house that's on Tarpon. But as time went on and we got to see, the nuts and bolts of really what it's going to take to rehab it, we said, well, perhaps we could build a better edifice, a better building, something that would last longer, and perhaps incorporate building an elevator for access to a second floor or something like that. So I think originally we were going to go with, let's rehab it, but it's morphed into something a little bit more than just the rehab because of all of the work that it's going to take to do that.
I think.
Sure.
My name is John Lalekis. Thank you. Standing here, I can't help but reflect on the days when I was going to high school here with Anita. We had the 7th through the 12th grade all in this same building, and it was really a wonderful experience. You come in as a lad at 7th grade and you look at the seniors, you think, wow. And here we are today at City Hall. And I'm grateful for that because this building is a building that we have a lot of cherished memories. When I spoke with AHEPA National years ago regarding the AHEPA home, I knew that it was important to our community to maintain the AHEPA organization and the things that it does in our community. And I was the president for 5 years. I'm no longer the president, but I'm active. And I'm also active nationally with Basil and other officers in bringing other venues to Tarpon Springs like senior living. I'm a big proponent of that. And I would certainly welcome anything I could do to make it happen. What I've learned about and our culture that we've tried to establish in Tarpon Springs is that our AHEPA home is a community home. You can go to Jean Hungaville, the Chamber of Commerce, and ask her. Anytime she's ever asked for the use of the house at no charge, it was done. We've never charged her. The Mary Martini, I know you're all familiar with that. It happens every year around November. We've been doing it now for, I think, either 4 or 5 years. But the merchants come in with Reggie Gibson, Carol Rodriguez, Sherry Wendt, back when I was the president. And in one day, they would just totally clean out the whole AHEPA home of tables and chairs and put them outside. And we didn't charge them 1 penny. When the veterans lost their ability to meet somewhere, we went to them. And they came and we sat down and we talked with them, and now they meet every month at the AHEPA home at no charge. They have a bingo once a week, no charge. When other situations have occurred, for example, either with the Shepherd Center or the Salvation Army, we again participate. Our home is open to anybody that is a nonprofit that benefits the citizens of this community. Now, when it came time for selling the AHEPA home, I knew that National was the best place to go, because I think that Tarpon Springs, known as the Epiphany City, that then we changed our name to, our chapter name to Epiphany City, because we wanted to reflect what AHEPA is nationally. We not only have that nationally, but we have now Basil, who has moved down as the executive director. We also have two people that are on the National Board of Governors have moved in the area and within Pinellas County. And so what's happening is that it appears that we're going to become the mega center, the epicenter of the South for national AHEPA here in Tarpon Springs. And I know that when they do something, they do it culturally minded. Now, and looking at the home right there, that the Stamathis home and the Fossil home, I've known both of the families all my life. I've known of them. Nick Stamathis was my attorney when I was president of the parish council in Tarpon Springs of St. Nicholas. He was my main man from an attorney perspective. And when I looked at the house, I not only looked at the house, but I looked at the property. And I said, what can be done better for the city of Tarpon Springs? I know AHEPA National's culture, and they allow us to do this in their home, is to whatever that the community needs, why don't we do it at AHEPA? We do that for any nonprofit organization in Tarpon Springs, or any organization that is affiliated in any form or fashion with the city of Tarpon Springs. So my vision is to take use of that entire piece of property, make it so that if they have a museum where it's large enough to turn around and, let's say, have 100 or 150 people be able to come and have a nice situation or an event, they can do it there. And I guarantee you, if it's for a nonprofit or for the city's benefit, it will be done at no charge, because that's who they are and what they stand for. So I speak in behalf of making that property a piece of property that complements the historic value of Tarpon Springs and complements the core values that we have as AHEPAs. Thank you. Any questions?
Maybe a similar one that I asked the other gentleman. So you were involved, it sounds like, also in the purchase. But it also, what it sounds like to me is that you, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing that you sort of were looking at it as an empty lot when you bought it. So were you already thinking that the building could just go away to do what, you mentioned a museum, you mentioned a couple other things, which sound wonderful. But do you know what I'm asking? Do you understand?
I know what you're asking. You're asking what my intent was.
Yeah.
When I looked at that property and
Right.
saw not only the home, but also the empty property next to it,
Right.
my mind went, what is the best use of that property? What can we do with that property to make it valuable and beneficial to not only AHEPA, but also to Tarpon Springs? When I went into the house and walked up, I think it's 19 steps to the second floor, I said, who's gonna be able to walk up 19 steps? That's a long way, okay? And so I looking at the property, it was beautiful in its time, and I think we can still do things to preserve that memory while we make active use of that property. So I saw it as an opportunity to expand AHEPA, make it something that is beneficial to not only the AHEPA family, but the city of Tarpon Springs, and to the visitors that come, especially during Epiphany, where they'll have a place to be able to meet and greet, because AHEPA draws an awful lot of people throughout the country on also on the Greek Independence Day. So that was my intent.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Did you have anything else to say? Because I want to open it up to the public here too.
Nothing to add at this time. We really want to know what your comments and concerns are, so that way, next time we come in front of you, we can add to the information that we've given you tonight and make clarifications as you need them as we move along in this process.
Okay. I had sort of a comment. I was looking at your presentation. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. It was number 4, whether the building is one of the last remaining examples of its kind. And you gave 4 examples, and I agree with those 4 being similar. But I'm also looking at the 4 West Orange, the 29 West Orange, the 28 West Center. Could you imagine if those people came in front of us and wanted to tear down those houses? They're wonderful. They're wonderful houses. And I just wanted to throw that out there. That kind of grabbed me when I was looking at your presentation. Where do we stop tearing down, and where do we make or suggest rehabilitation or reuse? This is discussion. I'm just throwing that out.
Oh, sir, if you could go to the microphone just because it's recorded.
May I say, just to add to that, I'm actually at the other end of this for, I think it's 226 North Gross, which is a complete rebuild of the exact same style house.
Okay.
Yeah, so
What was the address?
I think it's 226 North Gross, so it's the Hanks residence, a couple of blocks from here. So that one has been totally decimated. And that one we're rebuilding as it is, because that's what the client wants. They want to put the money into it. They want to live in it. Floor plan is very similar to this one. The layout is very similar to this one, just like 19 Orange as well. So we've got a few of the exact same house sprinkled out throughout Tarpon Springs. I didn't do an exhaustive search, but they are relatively common in this area.
But I think you get what I mean, how tough something like this is. When especially that one at 4 West Orange, it's incredible what they did there. It's just gorgeous. And I could not imagine that being an empty lot right now. So you do understand kind of.
I understand both sides, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. How about the public? You guys have been here for a while.
Again, Anita Protas, 901 Bayshore Drive. The house that he compared, fossil home to, is not in the historic district.
Good point.
I believe it was 1969. Olga can substantiate that. When I was a commissioner and then when I was mayor, we went out 100% to make historic districts in Tarpon Springs because we knew what the value was of that. The Ahepa home is historic. That used to be a black funeral home. My grandfather was president at the Ahepa. This is very difficult, but we're missing the boat here. Tarpon can be the #1 historic community in Florida over St. Augustine, over the beach communities that have restored buildings and had houses and haven't torn them down. We're missing the boat here. These houses, realtors should advertise them like they have in Charleston, South Carolina, St. Augustine, all the historic communities throughout the South for lawyers' homes, doctors' homes. You ride up Tallahassee to Main Street, you see those homes, lawyers, architects, accountants, doctor's offices. They buy these homes to preserve them. Once they're gone, you don't have them anymore. The fossil home is a very historic home. Mr. Fossil, Mr. Saccaritas, and Mitchell Emanuel, I think it was Mitchell Emanuel, they had a drugstore on Main Street. And Mr. Fossil brought his family there, and that's where they lived for many, many years. There's a developer in California that was interested in the property and wanted, and his family's here in Tarpon, and they called me and they said, would we have a problem with changing the zoning to be able to put apartments? I said, you want to put Tarpon on fire and be driven out of town? That's what's going to happen. If you start eating away, and we've lost some historic homes here, and they've changed them, it's like a cancer that goes on till we have nothing left. And with the hurricane that came, people are suffering, but they have to put the houses back like they were. If we lose our historic district in Tarpon Springs, we're going to pay a big price for that. And once it's gone, you can't get it again. You can never reproduce what's there. I understand what the AHEPA wants to do, and it's a good idea, but not there. That house should not be torn down. That lot can be used for something, whatever goes in there. Their parking, their storage. There's a shed back there that's over 100 years old. The house has never been, Mrs. Fossil was my sister's godmother, my sister Eva's godfather, and she and her, my sister and her youngest daughter grew up together, went to school here, and the best of friends. They never really redecorated anything in the house or changed the house in any way. You still have the columns in the house when you walk in. It's beautiful, but you have to work at it to keep it historic. And I appreciate what they want to do, the National AHEPA, because we are a historic Greek community, but you can't kill it. And that's what we're doing. When you let these houses go, it's a virus and it keeps growing. It's a cancer on the community. And you are the protectors of the historic of Tarpon Springs. They have a building down in Greektown that they could do something with it and put a museum where all the tourists go to, and they can use it and see it when they need to. I want us to think of what we're going to lose if we let this house be demolished. And what's going to happen there. That's in the main part of town. Once that house goes, they're going to take Eddie Hoffman's house. They're going to take the one next to it. They're all going to go, and it can never be replaced. I have a lot to say, and I have a lot of history on this house because I'm sure Olga can tell you, I had so much history on Tarpon Springs. My husband had to build another addition onto the house for me to use as an office. And my daughter's a historian, and she has all of that now. And my husband used to do historic Civil War research with Shelby Foote, and we've got all of that. That's how much historic preservation is considered for this community and throughout the South. Go to Fernandina Beach and see what they've done in that community, the older homes, how they've preserved them. And there are grants. Whoever buys that property for a home, the grants are there. We've worked with grants, with Kathy Monahan when she was here, and Olga Socek, and I can't think of his name right now. I'm freezing in this building. It's cold. Kenny Henderson. We went after grants, the grant we got for the Greek church. And we were going to lose that almost. But we went to Tallahassee and said, please don't take it away. Work too hard for this. This town is missing out. Let's not add to it and miss out on some more. Let's save what these early pioneers and ancestors of ours in Tarpon have left us. That is a jewel. That is a jewel. And you can't compare that house with the one you're talking about because we are in the historic district that's the number one thing we've got to protect. I've got a lot more, and when you have another hearing, I've got a lot more to bring to you about that area, the house, and what has gone on in the history of Tarpon Springs in that house. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Hi.
232 West Lemon. I live in the historic district. And our neighborhood got devastated in Hurricane Helene. And I attempted to get some information about the zoning and land use. And I'll exaggerate, it took me 2,000 opportunities to finally get an answer. I had to go to the city clerk for a public records thing. It was very difficult. But their bottom line was, you can't do anything modern. And I said, well, why don't I get a chance to have an application and let you tell me whether it'll work? So that's why sometimes the recommendations of this, of staff, I don't agree with. One of the things I endeavored to do, I came down to be city planner on June 25th, 1979, and I initiated the first historic preservation ordinances. And it was a fight. Don't tell me what color to paint my house. I mean, it was a fight. And slowly but surely, we managed to get a historic preservation district going. And I think AHEP is great. I think all these organizations are wonderful. However, the issue is tearing down a historic structure. And as we have seen in the past year, a lot of our monuments are being destroyed. Our White House is destroyed, the Rose Garden is destroyed, everything is being ruined and thrown away. And we can't do that here. We are a diverse community. We've got Jews, Hindus, Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Russian descent, Greek descent. We are a melting pot of diversity. And losing a historic structure should not be dependent on who the applicant is and their good nature. It should be do we want another, and I don't know if you all received it, but I took a picture and I showed the yellow house and then I took out there you go. All you have is a big vacant lot. And if there's property beside it, I don't have a problem with them expanding to the side, but leave the house alone. And they say, well, it's more expensive to take it down and get rid of all the stuff and then be left with a vacant lot. And when you drive down from the bayou up, you see the house at the corner that Congressman Bilirakis was living in. You see the apartments, then you see the Innes house, and you see Colonel Sally's house. And if you've been here long enough, you remember those people and you remember their houses. And it's just very, very important that we save what our history represents and show it off with pride. And whenever you go to some of these other communities, some of the rattiest looking houses have been remodeled and they look beautiful and they're impeccably done. And that's what Tarpon Springs needs. It needs more conscientious assistance from staff to applicants like myself. I ended up selling my house because I didn't want to go through the hassle. And that's a reputation this town is getting. It's too difficult to do work here. And I endeavored to put the people first, not the corporations and the lawyers. And it used to be a much more pleasant experience coming to City Hall, and it's not that way anymore. So we have a lot of work to do, but I would recommend not allowing that house to be removed and giving them other options. There's more property that can do another option, but it's just not right. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Georgiana Franzese, 15 Athens Street. So I want to begin by saying this very clearly, that I respect the applicant, the architect who's a friend, and all the residents here who care really deeply about this structure. So I'm not here to take sides. I'm here more to talk about the process, responsibility, and what our city says it stands for. So the City of Tarpon Springs mission and vision statements both explicitly include protecting and preserving our heritage. That's not aspirational language, it is a stated commitment. So this item is before you tonight as a discussion item and not an approval, and that alone highlights a larger ongoing issue, repeated miscommunications between applicants and staff and this board about what constitutes a complete and review-ready demolition application. Over time, this board has received criticism, oftentimes very unfairly, and often very publicly, and often from commissioners, when applications are denied, appealed, or later overturned. So I want to say this plainly and on the record that that criticism is misplaced. When an application is incomplete, when standards are inconsistently applied, or when an appeal later succeeds, that does not reflect a failure of this board, it reflects a failure of the city to provide adequate training, procedural clarity, and institutional support to both its volunteer boards and to the applicants that are trying to navigate this process. These are some of the most important decisions, as you can see by the public opinion coming tonight, that a city can make. Decisions that permanently affect historic structures. And yet we provide very little formal training or support to the volunteers tasked with carrying out that responsibility. Tonight's delayed start due to the lack of a quorum underscores how thinly stretched our volunteer boards already are, and how much the city relies on a very small number of unpaid residents to carry out critical responsibilities. That disconnect is not fair to this board, and it's not consistent with the city's stated mission. This issue matters even more because Tarpon Springs is a certified local government. That's a CLG. That designation depends on having a functioning, trained, and respected preservation board that applies adopted criteria consistently and independently. Anytime this board is undermined, bypassed, or second-guessed due to process failures, that puts our CLG status at risk. And that risk belongs squarely with city leadership, not with volunteer boards serving on this board. So tonight, my request is simple: support this board, invest in meaningful training, clarify expectations for applicants, and stop placing the burden of systematic failures on volunteer members. Protecting our heritage is not something we should only talk about, especially in election season. It is something we must actively support, fund, and stand behind. Supporting this board is not optional. It is essential to protecting our certified local government status and preserving the historic identity of Tarpon Springs. So to the city leadership, when it comes to preserving our heritage, don't just talk about it, be about it. And to the board, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Well said. You've made some good points. I appreciate them. Anything to say?
No, but they
Nope.
did a,
You at the, I'm sorry, is it John? What's your name? Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry. You asked a little while ago what you could bring to another meeting. Is that kind of how you asked it? Why don't you go stand up there so we could hear you?
Yes, so, you know, we so, you know, we didn't feel that, that this process was gonna be a one-meeting deal where we would show up and you guys would say, yes, you could do what you would like, and everybody would leave happy. So, you know, we decided to take a smaller step before we decided to take, you know, a bigger step, put much more effort into, you know, generating, you know, new concept plans, you know, renderings, you know, the whole 9 yards. I imagine you had a chance to take a look at the 200 pages that we generated of information. There may be some questions you have, some things that you know, find compelling or less than compelling. And so if we could find out, you know, what your concerns are, then we can make sure to address them more completely next time we're in front of you.
Okay, I did read it all, actually, what you gave us. And thank you, it was a good presentation. I can't speak for the board. It would be a real job for anyone to talk me personally into agreeing on demolition. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. We're discussing it. There's no voting going on here. Doesn't mean my mind could be changed. Couldn't be changed. The property, the lot right next door, that's part of this property, that empty lot?
Yes, sir.
Have you considered keeping the yellow house and somehow incorporating some new structure next to it that works with that yellow house to realize your project, your museum or office or whatever you were thinking of. But to still keep that house, because I saw that shed back there too, and it's really a cool shed. And I didn't realize it was so old. That's my opinion right now. And again, it doesn't mean I couldn't have my mind changed with a really dynamic plan. But that would be the direction that I would want to see something happen, is somehow to keep that house and incorporate something new that complements it and still gets your project to some sort of completion where everyone is happy. I mean, have you thought about that at all?
We have, it's not off the table.
It's what?
It's not off the table.
It's not off the table. Okay.
Right, yeah, we haven't generated a design
Well,
because we really wanted the input that we had here
and,
from the
and
public.
again, I can't speak for the board or anybody else here, but you did ask. And I personally would be open to seeing a project working on that empty lot, but retaining the house. But that's just my opinion.
I agree.
I don't have anything else to say. I don't know if anybody else does. Do you want to throw anything else? I mean, this is a discussion. We got time.
No, but I'm interested in what Anita has. We apparently have a lot of information, but
So
So-
would you consider kind of changing course a little bit and try to work that out somehow to keep that
we don't.
house?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I'm sure the board would be totally open to seeing something like that, that kind of project. Again, there's no voting going on tonight. This is just people's opinion. And I have absolutely nothing against HEPA. I think you're a wonderful organization. So don't misunderstand. We're here to look at the buildings. I'm sorry? I go there on Friday nights. I don't know, do we have anything else to say, or does anybody have any other comments? I think it's been great, even though we started late.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I
this was a good-
apologize.
So, did you get enough out of this?
I think so, yeah, and thank you for hearing us tonight.
It was a good presentation.
We'll reconvene and we'll be back with more information, something
Okay.
that,
You'll set that
for
up
you to
with
consider. Yeah.
Carolyn. Okay. There was another comment back there?
Right, Anita.
Okay. Absolutely. Oh, we're not even there. We're not even. Yeah. Well, we assume at this committee, we assume that the city has looked at ordinances and all of that. We don't, this committee does not deal with ordinances. more discussion on this?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on then to our next item. Thanks for what you did. Let's see what's next. Okay, number 7, board and staff comments. Carolyn, anything you want to throw out?
I don't have any further comments.
Okay, what about you guys here? Any questions or anything? Okay, I have a question. I always, the board is 5 people, or is it 6?
Yes, it's 5 people with an alternate.
With an
so,
alternate.
Yes, we do need board members.
We do.
I
Because we
believe,
just lost Bill. We lost
Yes.
Michelle last year.
yes. Now, I do believe there is an active application in right now.
Okay.
So hopefully we will be getting one new board member soon. But yes, we need board members.
We do.
so.
We do. And is there a way to maybe put something in the paper or
Right.
just to let people know that?
Yes,
looking.
I believe we do advertise that we are looking, and I think one of the best ways to do that is for you guys to reach out to, citizens, your neighbors, people you know that are interested in protecting our heritage.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, if there's no more comments, we will adjourn at 8:07. Thank you, everyone.